Okay, second one is public relations. Good old public relations, standard public relations. And the whole definition, the whole thing around public relations in this sense is getting your name out via traditional means or traditional outlets. So that's when you're talking about news, radio, TV if that's appropriate. And the key to this is crafting an amazing story that really captures everyone's attention. That people go, wow, okay, there's something unique, there's something special. And there's an art and science to this. And one of the cool things around this is to understand how the media works. Now, there are people that they spend, this is their whole life, helping people to get PR. So we're just doing a glossary at the top level on this. One of the cool things to keep in mind here, though, is that this thinking around press stories filter up. In other words, the major news outlets, major blogs, the big ones, they get their resources, their information from the smaller ones. And those smaller ones get it from the smaller ones. So if you know the right channels, and if you start to you test and you measure, you go and speak to people, you find out where they get their information, you go one of the smaller ones, you have something that's new or noteworthy, that's a story there, then there's a chance it'll get picked up in this one here, and they'll get picked up in the higher one as well. One of the things you can do is if you know in your area, and one of the best examples I think of this is just going straight to newspapers. If you go to newspapers, your local rag can be one of the greatest places of getting resources, it's a great resource for you to get a heap of business, and it's a great place to test and measure for usually pretty minimal outlay. If you know who the reporters are, usually it's quite easy because if you go onto the most news agencies and actually have a look, they'll tell you who's the editor-in-chief or the person who's head of each area. The key thing you do is just get on there, find out who they are, jump on, especially if it's in media, you jump onto their Twitter, you become a friend of them, see what the stuff they talk about on there. You would go in and connect with them on the social media, the other social media areas as well. Get to know them, get to know what piques their interest, what are they reporting around, and then you want to be then going, how can I craft an amazing story? And when ready, you then reach out with a newsworthy milestone. So you can do that. Is SourceBottle. Who's heard of or knows SourceBottle? Yep, a lot of people have. Great. So basically, sourcebottle.com, I think it is, .com.au. I think I've spelled that wrong here. As in S-O-U-R-C-E, yeah. This is my secret sauce on the source. All right. So that's a place where you can go, and if you're an expert in a topic, you put your information in there, and then an editor or someone who curates news, they'll go on there and they'll search for people in there. Now, I think it can be a bit of potluck, it can be a bit of you can get a lot of crap, to be honest, on that. However, it's just another vehicle. Or you go to professionals, there's many out there. This is a company that I know that do a pretty good job. Are you with them? Okay, so they can go out and they'll actually do professional PR for you. What I'm going to do now, though, is around standard PR is Carl did a massive launch. We've been working on it since December in February to launch his book called Rock Her World. And so what I thought I'd do, rather than just spruiking on about it, is have the mic with Carl, and for us just to talk a little bit around PR. Actually, you want to come down the front here? About PR, and if you want to just, you can jump up. If you want to just talk a little bit about the book launch and then how you use PR.
Okay, so we had a big strategy leading into the book launch as to what we were going to do and which media we were going to target. And we obviously started off with the Channel 9, we were going with the Today Show. But I guess through the whole journey of planning the book launch, I learnt a lot of things so that I would do differently the next time I did it. But that's the fun and games, they say, of PR. Now, originally we targeted the plan was to target the Today Show in the morning with a concept that they would be interested in. And obviously choosing to launch the book on Valentine's Day was a media newsworthy story for them, but I wanted to make it more interesting. So what I decided to do was to design and make a $20,000 engagement ring to give away to one lucky person at the breakfast. And then I also, reached out to people like Daydream Island and had them donate prizes like a $2,500 getaway package, and a number of other people that contributed to the event.
So it was actually, the good thing on this, there was PR, but there was actually behind the scenes a hell of a lot of work done in partnerships. This event was actually a product, and it had quite a few other people's stuff that was all bundled in there together. Yep, cool.
So then moving along, and the fun and games part with media is that we even had the Channel 9 in writing saying, yes, we're going to be there. And then the big thing I learned about PR and particularly the media is that when the media says they want exclusivity, they don't mean we want exclusivity in the sense of we're the only media outlet to have it. They mean exclusivity in the sense we want to be the ones who are only known to bring this to market. So in other words, they don't want you to promote it yourself in any way, shape or form. They want to have everything in their court, which in some ways is a little bit like gambling, when you come to it. And that's an opportune cost that ultimately you're going to have to make. Do you want to put all your eggs in one basket and hope that it comes off? Now, about 3 weeks out from the book launch, the Today Show decided, well, actually, they probably had something better on, or for whatever reason, it wasn't their fit. They're not really going to tell you why.
So just know that months of work coming up to thinking this is going to happen. All these people are coming on board, as in partners. Daydream Island, the restaurant. The engagement ring was sponsored by a large part by another company. So there's a lot of activity going on, and then they pull the pin 3 weeks out. What would you do?
So then I went to plan B, which was to approach the Courier Mail or Sunday Mail, and they were then interested in also running the promotion and doing it. But of course, it has to go through their cycle, and they sat on it for another week and a half. Again, week and a half to two, till they came back and said, you know what, there's probably not enough time for us. So thanks, but no thanks. Or firstly, they asked me if I could move the date. I said, no, I'm not moving the date. I said, I'm already, past the point of no return. But the point at which that the Courier Mail or Sunday Mail told me that it was probably too soon for them was about a week out from my book launch, and I had 0 people coming to my book launch. So here's the key, and this is the cool thing around doing this traction channel thinking, is when you get the momentum happening, you can do really cool stuff. Yeah, and PR has its pluses and its minuses, and this was an exclusive deal, it was a big launch. That isn't always the way you would have to do something like that. However, we were a week out, and there's nothing happening. So then basically I got onto Facebook and just sort of hustled like crazy, and I found in a week I got 80 people to attend the book launch, and the majority of them paying $190 per couple to be there. So so it was a lot of hustling for a week, but we got everybody there. Essentially, it was composed of, and this is what I would learn doing another book launch, is to actually segment the audience. So what we ended up doing was, out of the 80 people, we had 60 people being contestants, so 30 couples, and then the other 20 people were essentially clients or partners or sponsors that we wanted to be at the event. So that again took a little bit of the pressure off having to try and get the full 40 couples there. So that was a learning. But I guess out of the silver linings that came out of that was I developed a relationship with the editor of the Sunday Mail.
And this is the key point, is getting a relationship with those people. And because Carl had actually got a bit of street cred because he still followed through on what he executed on, they're kind of like going, oh, okay, this is cool. Because what happens, I've got a number of colleagues and people I know, we have a lawyer friend that we know, that what ends up happening is you get known by the people and the guys or guys and girls in the media, and you get known as what's called talent. So anytime a topic comes up that's in your area, they just go to the talent. And when they're looking for talent, particularly for video and radio, there's a particular type of stuff they want you to be controversial or a bit engaging or something like that they're good to, that's good for media. But you develop that relationship, and then all of a sudden when something comes up again, you're going to be the go-to person. Again, it's a bit like a partnership. You've got to plant the seed, you've got to water it, you've got to put some sun on it, and you've got to allow it to grow.
So I've actually the meeting was actually supposed to be with him on Wednesday, but he got busy. And that's the other thing, you've got to be really extremely patient and understanding when dealing with media. So, he said, look, I'm really snowed under. I said, no problems. How about next week? And then we sort of teed up another time next week. But basically, the Courier Mail want to redo the book launch again, so almost replicate it. So the first book launch actually became like a test run, which is kind of cool, because I learned a few things along the way that I would just fine tune for next time. But they want to run it again in May or June and do the same thing again. And then also
and that'll be an exclusive for them doing a launch.
That's right.
But it was only because of the relationship from the first one that was allowed him now to do the second one, and that'll get even more coverage out of that.
Yeah. And I guess when I had a meeting with him originally, I got to know him a little bit better. So I found out what his wife's name was, a few more personal particulars. So then, in times later, I was able to reference it and say, how's your wife Vanessa going, and so forth. So, again, it wasn't just I'm just here to use you for your contacts and that sort of thing. You want any more?
Has anyone got any questions I'd like to ask Carl just around that?
One of the lucky couples at
who won the ring? They did. So one of the things around that is this ability to hustle. Now, one of the channels I am going to talk about is social media, and when you really put the energy behind it, you can actually get some great results and some great traction. It can take a bit of effort, and there can be some hurdles that you have to overcome when you're doing it. And with persistence and over time, just imagine now the Courier Mail when they launch this. Next time anything comes up around Valentine's, guys dating, how they propose, any what else would it be? Romance, because that's kind of the space you want to be in.
Things like The Bachelor or
or probably even the Grey, 50 Shades of Grey. There's a possibility that could be, and the only reason is Christy was on the radio a couple of weeks ago, Triple J. 97.3, around the launch of the Shades of Grey. She's talent that they bring in. She talks about, her product, what she does in that space. So PR can have a place. We're gonna stay tuned on our group stuff. Carl, you'll keep us updated with the launch so we can see how that tracks and if we can support you on that. We have 5 books. 1, 2, 3. We have 5 books because I have this one. If you know someone that is getting engaged or you are getting engaged, I think everyone else is engaged in here, but if you do know someone, Carl has brought 5 books that if you want to pass to them, then you can grab one of those and pass that on to them as a freebie. Now, just a bit of a test and measure. By doing this launch, which we only had a week to actually put together, you put some people in the room. Are you able to give us, early days, but are you able to give us a little bit of a sense of what the return on that effort's been for you?
Okay, so as a result of one of the big strategies for the book launch was obviously the follow-up that was to happen after the event. It wasn't just to get people in the room and launch the book. And the other strategy that we had was we wanted everybody to leave not feeling like they were losers. Yeah. If I can put that in the nicest possible way. So we had a strategy where we wanted to give everybody that didn't win the engagement ring like a $1,000 gift card to use towards their engagement ring. And so, but that had an expiry, which was the end of this month, and we've been, progressively following them up as you need to do to get them back into store. So far, I think we've closed about 3 or 4 of them that were directly from the book launch through there.
And the average price on an engagement ring
that they've spent from there has probably been about the $7,000 to $8,000.
Okay, so $7,000 to $8,000. I know I should have got my rings through Carl, and they're all custom made and they're beautiful. 8,000. We've got 4 of those. You add that up straight away. That's 32 grand, and that's only the start. They get the engagement plus they get the other rings that flow on from it as well. So we know that was a very good launch, and there's still business that's going to come from it.
Yeah, definitely.
And then more importantly, the partnerships that have come from it as well, because now you can go back to these people.
Well, one of the big things that I wanted to do at the end of for Daydream Island, what I did is I had a videographer there to video it, and that's part of the strategy. That's how we got it on Channel 9 and Channel 10.
Actually, this is a good point. None of the stations came to the event. And as you're putting on an event, and that's what I said to Carl, get a video guy there, you video it. So now, we've now got an asset called some video.
So, it's one of those things where everything seemed to go wrong, but not that any of the clients that were at the event knew we're none the wiser. But one of the things that happened on the day of my book launch, of course, the Queensland State Government got sworn in at 9 o'clock, which is pretty much when my book launch was. So, of course, all the TV reporters, and the day before that, we'd sent out chocolates and books and everything to all the TV producers, to make sure that they were aware of the event with the press release. So it wasn't just a matter of just sending them a press release. We kind of went the extra mile for them, but they would have been there, I believe, if it not been for that. But what we ended up doing was videoing it, and then I had the videographer quickly cut a quick section and literally jump in a car and race it up to Mount Cootha so that it would be there. And then obviously we just took it to one station and then they syndicated it out to the other one. So that's how it got on the 2 different stations.
Great. So it's that proactive, going out there, going the extra mile. They weren't going to be there. How are we going to do it? And the cool thing around that, now it's featured as seen on TV. Yep. Which becomes other credibility as well.
Yeah, so what we did then was we obtained the footage, which obviously has the 9 and 10 logos in the bottom corner. So again, that just shows that extra credibility there.
Great. And then because we're talking the 4 ways to grow a business, this whole section now is all about lead generation. Okay, the second step is about conversion. Yeah, what do you do to convert? And that's really about do people really trust you? Do they believe that you can follow through, et cetera, around those space. Now that's bringing in some conversion. It's social proof. Yeah, so you've added another little part in there as well. I think Carl deserves a massive, massive round of applause. So well done, buddy. Good job. So that is PR.